This is the Pelikan M205. But wait, this is also the Pelikan M205. Today we are taking a look at my Pelikan pen set. It consists of the 2019 limited edition Pelikan Star Ruby in fine and a regular white M205 in medium, both housed in a Pelikan 2-pen case. Taking care of ordinary business of life often requires having 2 pens filled with different inks meant for different purposes. For this set, I chose Pelikan Edelstein, Onyx, and Star Ruby. Different types of nibs are also suited to distinct situations and environments. For instance, finer nibs are better when note-taking on smaller notebooks or when practicing penmanship, since they truly allow you to see and understand where the tip of your nib is at any given moment and how unsteady your hand really is. Wider, flexier nibs, on the other hand, are best suited for when your handwriting is meant to be read by someone else. It also conceals bad handwriting when writing standing up, on the go, or when writing in a larger script. That is the reason why this set comprises a fine and a thick medium nib. When it comes to the pens themselves, the Pelikan M205 is a classic pen that doesn't need any introduction. Like the Pelikan pens from the Souverain series, it is characterized by the Art Deco elegant 3-step finial and the pelican bill-shaped clip. Pelikan bills can be as long as 50 centimeters for an animal that can weigh up to 15 kilograms. That makes the pelican one of the heaviest birds that can fly, and definitely the bird with the longest bill. In contrast, the Pelikan M205 is one of the lightest pens I have ever used, and its clip is simply flawless. The wide version of this still-nibbed 125mm long piston filler has been in production for a full decade. Meanwhile, the Star Ruby is the new and attractive femme fatale on the block. Functionally, they are almost identical, the demonstrator Star Ruby allowing a slightly better understanding of how much ink is in the pen over the absolutely excellent ink window of the regular M205. I touched upon symbolic ink windows in the past, and any lady or gentleman with a penchant for practicality will be glad to know it is not one of them. The other difference between the two pens really comes to the finishing and not just in appearance. Whatever Pelikan did to create the sparkling effect on the Star Ruby, it made the pen smoother and the molding lines almost imperceptible. The sharp edges on the regular M205 remind the user of the budget nature of the pen, whereas the Star Ruby feels high-end with its smoothness and jewelry-like aspect. Actually, I shouldn't say jewelry-like. This pen, just like the Waterman Facette or the Montblanc Rouge et Noir, is jewelry. It shimmers so beautifully. Magpies around my dwelling may or may not have tried to make it a part of their permanent collection, and although I appreciate their help in ridding me of materialistic burdens, I do intend to hang on to this pen for a while. That is why it is housed in a high-end Pelikan 2-pen case characterized by impeccable stitching, thick padding, detailed embossing, and quality leather. Edgework has also been very well done on this case, with burnishing on the back edge, which isn't as common on pen cases as one would think. Its interior is lined with a material that is not too dissimilar to felt. The pen divider is attached to the backside of the case only, to conform to different sized pens. In practice, checking if I didn't fold it flat with the back of the case, allowing my pens to knock against each other, is a superfluous hassle I wish I hadn't to endure. Overall, this pen case provides excellent protection to regular-sized pens against shocks, magpie theft attempts, and even drops from reasonable heights. The 19.5mm long steel nib performs flawlessly. The fine version is on the stiff side and allows limited light variation, making the handwriting very uniform. It also runs on the thicker side of fine. The medium nib doesn't deliver a thicker line as much by being round wider as by flexing a lot more. The performance of this nib is reminiscent of steel nibs from the 1950s. It is due to the fact the nib is thinner than its fine counterpart, and thinness, contrary to what is often assumed, is the most important factor when it comes to how flexible a nib is. It is evident that a sheet of paper is more easily pliable than a thick book. Yet, in the fountain pen world, if the book is made from gold, it will often be assumed to be more easily pliable than a thin sheet of steel. One of the most interesting qualities of the M205 is how deeply it caps and posts. It makes for a compact pen in the pocket, while retaining a good size when writing, even for larger hands. Unfortunately, if you like wielding your capped pens while talking, the compactness of the M205 is not very satisfying, and wielding it uncapped could lead to serious ink projections. Both feeds ensure appropriate ink flow when writing. Just like other Pelikan fountain pens, the entire nib unit comes off, which is quite handy for cleaning purposes. The last feature of the M205 I would like to talk about is the screwing action on the pen. Screwing and unscrewing the piston knob is probably the most pleasurable experience you will ever have with a fountain pen. When it comes to how the cap screws onto the body of the pen, I would advise couple therapy, for the cap and the body of the pen seem to constantly be headed towards a divorce due to poor screwing action. Indeed, the cap unscrews in a little less than a full turn, and unfortunately, this makes the pen slightly too easy to uncap. I often find them quite loosely capped when I reach for them, inevitably by the cap, which is the only way to get them from their case. I do not believe I will ever drop them by accident for this reason, but it is slightly annoying. Given the M205 doesn't have the speed advantage of a snap cap anyway, I would gladly welcome half a turn more on that cap. One thing it does very well, however, is ensuring the pen doesn't dry out, and I can testify I never returned to a dry M205. The name Pelikan comes from the ancient Greek word Pelikan, which is itself derived from the word for axe, Pelikis. And this Pelikan pen set is indeed just as sharp as one.